Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Vaughn, and I'm here on behalf of Team 4 of the GEM 6200 Investment Fund. Our team reviewed many possible foreign investments, and we believe that renewable energy battery storage projects in Chile represent the most compelling opportunity we have seen in a long time. I will present the investment thesis and discuss the economic viability. My colleagues will address other aspects of the opportunity, including political and macroeconomic stability, foreign investment policy and government approval processes and timelines, and energy and environmental laws. So there's a growing need for industrial scale batteries to back up wind and solar plants worldwide. Chile was selected for this venture because it has the highest solar radiance in the world and is blessed with vast reserves of the raw materials necessary to manufacture lithium-ion batteries. In fact, Chile possesses the largest confirmed lithium reserves in the world, over 7.5 million tons, as well as significant cobalt potential. The important driver of utility scale storage systems is the substantial growth in the amount of renewable energy being deployed around the world, which is more than 378 gigawatts as projected over the next 5 years. So these power generation from solar and wind present challenges to local electric grids, which are not designed to handle variable generation output, and they're stretched thin in delivering the existing electricity already. Energy storage systems are particularly well suited to smoothing out the variable output of renewables and controlling the rapid ramping up and down of solar and wind generation. The waste or curtailment of renewable energy production represents a key opportunity for long duration, utility scale energy storage systems to enable greater alignment with demand. Worldwide deployments are projected to grow 13-fold over the next 6 years, and this equates to a $71 billion investment into storage systems, with $14 billion of that alone coming in 2024. Along with that, lithium battery manufacturing costs continue to decline, and they are down under $100 per kilowatt hour now. Lithium batteries are the most efficient and cost-saving battery options out there today, with the lowest installed cost and the highest round-trip efficiency. So Chile seeks to become a major player, and they're hoping that battery makers such as Samsung and POSCO will start installing processing plants in the country. And this is driven by the government development agency, Corfo. And they recently reached a deal with the top lithium miner that will give battery makers access to cheaper lithium. And they've been trying to encourage manufacturers to refine and process lithium in Chile. Chile is the most attractive market for renewable energy and energy storage development. Chile is one of the most advanced economies in Latin America. It has led to well-established finance sectors supporting the development of renewable energy and energy storage projects by offering relatively low-cost capital. Additionally, they're in the process of establishing relatively deregulated energy markets. By separating generation, transmission, distribution, and retail services, they've allowed third-party parties, including multinational independent power providers, to own and operate systems. And this has resulted in the successful development of battery energy storage systems that were independently developed and financed by foreign firms. The president has come out and promoted energy storage, and they've developed regulations that will make energy storage part of its regulated system and pave the way for battery technologies to offer rapid frequency response services. And this has got the attention of battery manufacturers who are now trying to take advantage of the ancillary service opportunity and provide infrastructure for mitigating transmission bottlenecks and for storing output from the country's abundant solar and wind. And NEC has already deployed several projects in Chile. This market is expected to grow in Latin America alone up to $2 billion, and it could be much more than that worldwide. Chile is blessed with the best solar resource in the world. Atacama Desert, North Chile, is widely considered the world's best solar resource. And Chile leads the Latin American solar energy production. It accounts for almost half the total installed capacity. They've already obtained their 20% goal, and they're setting a more ambitious goal of 70% renewable energy by 2050. Given that solar will account for the lion's share of the growth, the need for stabilizing industrial scale battery storage will create a tremendous business opportunity for early movers. And as I said, Chile has the world's best solar radiance. That's seen here in the pink area on the map. And that's resulted in the rapid growth in renewable energy capacity in the last 4 years. Chile is actively seeking foreign investments. They've established a new foreign investment promotion called Invest Chile, and they assist overseas companies with their investments in Chile. The government has identified 5 priority sectors, and these include mining, exportable technology, and energy logistics, which fits right into our investment thesis. Chilean policies are friendly to foreign direct investment. It's based on simplicity, transparency, non-discrimination. They've worked to simplify investment procedures, and they have a moderate corporate tax. They're guaranteed access to foreign exchange markets, including the free remittance of capital and profits, and they offer investors a large range of solutions to encourage investments. So they have a relatively stable and transparent regulatory framework for renewables, and along with long-term purchase agreements, this provided stability required for major foreign investors. And similar contract structures for energy storage will have a major impact on investor confidence and the overall return on investment of new projects. So there are several strong points for investing in Chile. These include macroeconomic stability, top Latin American importer, excellent solvency, high purchasing power, wealth of natural resources, internationalized Chilean companies, and labor laws that are friendly toward business. Foreign companies can also benefit from privileged access to regional markets through free trade agreements. Some weak points, which may also be opportunities in our case, are lack of innovation, weak spending in R&D, and investment in network industries. With any foreign company, there are fluctuations to commodity prices and dependence on other competition, and most concerning may be the lack of qualified workforce, which is something we have to take into consideration.
This is Matt, and I'm going to talk about energy and environmental law in Chile. So, the legal basis for the electricity sector is set mainly by the General Law of Electric Services, which was enacted in 1982 and has been amended a number of times since. The primary purpose of this law was to begin deregulation of the energy sector, from vertically integrated to allowing competition between transmission, generation, and distribution services. So in 2010, the Chilean government directly inserted itself into energy sector planning and regulation with the passage of two pivotal laws. The first created the Ministry of Environment, and the second created the Ministry of Energy. And this was the beginning of the Chilean government really centralizing its energy and environmental planning. The Ministry of Energy is responsible for development, coordination, and implementation of national energy policy. They oversee the development of energy infrastructure, including generation projects, transmission lines, and gas infrastructure, as well as oversight of the National Energy Commission, which is a technical organization with the responsibility to analyze prices, tariffs, and technical norms. This entity is very similar to NERC, and in some ways the ministry fulfills a FERC-type role as well. The Ministry of the Environment is responsible for environmental policymaking, design and application of programs to protect and conserve biological diversity and natural resources, and promoting sustainable development. The ministry develops, executes, and coordinates the monitoring and control of environmental qualification resolutions, the measures contained in environmental prevention and/or decontamination plans, the content of the environmental quality standards and emission standards, and management plans, and all other environmental instruments established by law. So this is a one-stop shop for all environmental regulations, which makes it very easy for us to navigate the applicable laws for our project. Next is the Environmental Evaluation Service. Now, this is a sub-agency within the Ministry of the Environment, and it's very important for our purposes as they manage and track a very comprehensive system of completed, proposed, and future generation projects, which are actually geo-referenced and publicly accessible. You can log onto their website and see which projects have been approved and those that have been denied and for what reasons they were denied. Also very important for our purposes is the SEA establishes the guidelines for and evaluates environmental impact assessments through their environmental impact assessment system, and they provide detailed information on approved, qualifying, or rejected projects throughout Chile. So as part of the EIA, there's a requirement that developers have formal consultations with indigenous groups. Importantly, though, if there's no agreement reached between the holder of the project, in this case us, and the indigenous communities, or no consent is obtained from the communities, the consultation process will not be voided. Onto the courts. All environmental and energy disputes are handled by special environmental courts, which are autonomous and independent jurisdictional bodies that act as both ordinary and arbitration courts. These are not your ordinary courts. They're made up of both lawyers and non-lawyers with scientific and technical disciplines. This quality allows the courts to look at technically difficult matters and reach conclusions faster than the ordinary courts because of their technical expertise. There are three of these courts, one in the north, center, and south of the country, which you can see on this slide. Foreign judgments can be awarded and enforceable in Chile, but at first it's necessary to gain authorization from the Chilean Supreme Court. This process is called executar. The general rule regarding executar is reciprocity, meaning that in the absence of treaties governing the matter, foreign judicial decisions shall have the same enforceability afforded to Chilean judicial decisions in the corresponding jurisdictions. In all other cases, foreign judicial decisions will have in Chile the same enforceability as if they would have been pronounced in Chile, as long as certain conditions are met, and we can look at those conditions at the accompanying link. Public land. So the Ministry of National Assets is responsible for administration of auctions of public land to allow investors to use the public lands in a concession mode to develop renewable energy projects. These auctions are held fairly regularly, and they are very important, seeing as over 60% of all solar projects built to date in Chile are on public land. This is a process that we would likely have to go through. Fortunately, if you win an auction, they are 30 to 35-year leases, and there is no requirement to begin construction on the land for the first 10 years. Nuisance and negligence. Nuisance claims cannot be used as actions to obstruct development of projects or other activities. Only public agencies may apply sanctions indirectly if the activity that is causing the nuisance constitutes a violation to specific regulations or permits. There is, however, a bit of a loophole, and that's called the preliminary injunction for new construction. That can be used by third parties as a nuisance claim. For instance, if the new construction takes place over public land, any individual from the local community may file the injunction. However, there's a way to stop this, and that's for cases where the plaintiff obtains the temporary delay of construction. The court may suspend that decision upon a deposit from the developer, which is great because you can continue working on the project even if it's tied up with some nuisance claim. So most electricity, and especially renewables in Chile, are purchased in recent years through these 20-year supply auctions. Generation companies can offer bids based on existing or new capacity 5 years in advance of that delivery date, which is really great for project finance because we can put in a bid, know if we win, and then have 5 years to get up and running. New projects may postpone or cancel their supply in the case that there's a delay in the construction or siting process, as long as it's circumstances outside of our control. And similarly, if there's a change in tax code, we can change the prices that we bid into the market accordingly. The most recent auction averaged $32.05 a megawatt hour, so highly competitive, and gives us a good idea of where we need to be bidding. Importantly, there are no subsidies in Chile because renewables are so economic on their own. Here's just a chart that shows you the historic supply calls. So in 2016, the government contracted for 12 terawatt hours of power. There are also two other markets that we can bid into if all of our power isn't purchased via the auctions. There's a spot market and a contract market, and each are unique depending on who you're selling to. When it comes to contracts, the Chilean civil law system embraces the subjective method of contractual interpretation, which means that they will honor the intention of the contract, not just what's been written in the contract. This is very important in case we fudge something up because it got lost in translation. Lastly, we thought it was important to mention that Chile has a $5 per ton of carbon tax that's very likely to go up in the future, and that will make our energy storage projects more economically viable. In conclusion, there is a growing need and compelling opportunity for utility-scale battery investment in Chile. The country's unique geography will attract high levels of solar penetration, which will be in need of storage backup. The government encourages lithium battery development and has a favorable tax system to support such projects, and Chile's laws are pro-business and favorable to foreign investment. That concludes our presentation. Thank you.